Singathi sicamaka emakhosini. Simula kuwe Mveli Nqangi sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala omayo ongqolo umsilo sopitsho yemnyama. Sicamaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala ongwekhosikhala jena sithi emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala omaduna ogubeva nokhala jena sithi emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala okhobe soqwathu nodikela sithi emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala omkhwemto dabana osigathi sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala omotho umvula nondlebe enkomo sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala okhanya umwela somsuthi sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala ofakutse omtolo mesenza emakhosini sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala onhlapho sigegede sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala ogama umlangeni sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala omtolo omcengo nongwala sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala obhedla umpula nomnqambi sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala onyawuza ofaka othahla undayi nosigqilikazi ongqungqushu sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala umathunzi uthuthumela oxesiwe sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala basemzini emkhulu basempophumeni basemqolombeni basemaweni baselagcikeni baselangetheni sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala singababika ngasicela ningaqumbi ningaqalekisi sithi camaka emakhosini. Simula kwimbantu abadala singababika ngasicela nisondele sicela nibe nathi nisikhanyisele niwamukele lo msebenzi siwenza abantu abadala sisondela ngenhliziyo ezimhlophe senicamakushela abantu abakhulu siza sithobile abantu abadala sithi makube ngocamako ochosi oyele camako simula kunzithinga zethu emazweni nesithinga zapha emhlabeni sicela nisondele makudede kumnyama kukhanya kube ngocamako ochosi oyele. Morning everybody, or midday should we say, good day, the middle of the day. So, my name is Zola, Xashimba. My birth name is Zola. And I'm a medicine man. You know, I wasn't always a medicine man, but you're born a medicine man, or a medicine woman, or a singer, a dancer, a drummer, actor, creative person, producer, seamstress. We're born what we are, and each thing that we're born is our calling. But to uncover it, it requires a journey. And every journey has a beginning, and it'll eventually end when we die. But as long as we're alive, we've got a journey to take. So, mine began about 7 years ago, when I was brought into an understanding of what lies beyond our range of perception, what we consider as reality, life, what is normal, and what we think and know of the world to be, and what we actually don't see, and we're not aware of, or we've chosen to forget. So it started 7 years ago when I had done a medicine ceremony with a medicine coming from South America, with a shaman that was practicing that tradition. And he took me down this road into myself, deep into myself, into that place within us which we call Itongo. And Itongo being the divine consciousness, the universal spirit that lurks within us. To go meet that being and have a conversation about knowing oneself. So that started a whole series of events. Trauma, running, joining like Christianity and then Islam, and doing some work with the Buddhists, studying with shamans, studying with alchemists, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. And at the whole time, whilst I'm doing all of these things, I'm not thinking, why am I doing all of these things? You know, but all I know is that I just need to keep doing this. I need to keep learning. I need to keep finding out. I need to learn more about the spiritual path, the spiritual reality, the physical reality that we live in. You know, I studied a lot with the Vedas a lot, the Vedic texts. I did a whole lot of that. Went around the world, you know, until about 2015 when I started to get a spiritual sickness, which is commonly associated with one having to answer their calling. In that year, I had to tell my parents, look guys, you see this whole thing of school, it's gonna go on pause. I've got to go and do this. Obviously, they were up in arms about it. They were like, nah, you mad. We don't do these things in this house. What are you talking about? You know, and I was like, that's exactly what I'm gonna go do. You know, and then they're like, okay, fine then. You know, but if you're gonna do this, then we have to make sure that you're safe. You know, so my father helped me find my spiritual mother. You know, she's a woman that lives in the Eastern Cape. And if you'd met her, you'd never think she's a healer, you know. She's a chartered accountant with with a franchise of her own accounting firm. It's in King Williamstown, Queenstown, and Tata. You know, you meet her, you would not say this woman is a traditional healer, but that's exactly what she is, you know. And she brought me in, and then she started to teach me about the ways of our ancestors. Now, what I want you guys to know about the ways of the ancestors is that every single one of us has ancestors. And when you begin to connect with your ancestors, you know what the first thing they're going to show you is? We say, insila zako na manyala wako. Meaning, you know, your dirt, but to be more correct, your dirt and the things that are about you that are revolting or repulsive to yourself and to others. You know, and why they want you to know this is because they want you to be well informed about who you are and where you're coming from and what is inside of you that you're carrying every day of your life that causes a tension within ourselves, which we don't find the voice to speak. You know, many of us are traumatized, are wounded, all of us, you know, but we are finding ways, some of us, to deal with it. Some of us are not even looking, you know, because we know to confront the trauma means pain. To confront the trauma means to have those hard conversations we need to have with our families and to go back home and make things right. Many of us leave home with the wrong speech in our mouths, and then it's hard to go back and say, well, guys, you know, I wasn't completely right about that. You know, and sometimes we have to do that so we can follow what we feel inside, and that's what a creative person will do many a time. Will come from a background where you're a little weird, and they're like, that, you know, no. Why don't you be like everyone else and like go and study something serious, you know? You know, and that's like, as much as they can say that, you know, it's not their place to say, you know, because we have all been put down here by the Great One, the Great Spirit, for all the different reasons that we are here to be here. And that's why I'll say, with every journey, the first thing that one person needs to develop, or three things, is firstly a connection with God. Secondly, being relatable and learning how to relate. Because if you can't communicate and you can't hear another person communicating to you, you can't deliver a message and hear a message and receive it, you know, then you can't go further in the work that you need to do. And finally, you know, learning about one's own origins. And where do they come from in this world? We are all here today, and like I said, for you to be here means your ancestors survived up until you. Now, what did they survive? You know, what did they survive? What stories lurk in your DNA, in your blood? You know, what medicines ensured their survival? You know, gave you guys the wit, you know, the creativity, the intelligence to be what and who you are today. Many of us are, like I said, we're creative. All of us in this room are creative people, right? But do we understand where does that come from? Or do we look at our people and think, you know, those people, they were just out there in the bush, you know, just passing time. You know, there's nothing much they could have been doing out there. You know, and it's not like that. You know, we come from great lineages of storytellers, artists, musicians, dancers, astrologists, astronomers, medicine men and women, psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, doctors, you know, long before we went through colonization. And the reality is we've lost our knowledge system, you know, and because we're losing our knowledge system, we find it very hard to integrate in this modern world. Why? Because every part of you that is not your mind, you know, knows where it's coming from, and it knows what it needs to fulfill its purpose and express itself in the way it needs to express itself. But if we don't inform ourselves on what that is, we'll always run in circles. People wonder why some people are successful and why other people are not. The difference between a successful person and not a successful person is that person who's successful, life force flows. And a person who's not successful, their life force is not flowing. There's something in the river of their being, that is in that water, that is blocking the river from flowing into the ocean of their spirit, the ocean of the soul, the ocean of this reality which we call life. And for us to uncover that, it really takes one to be honest and to start looking, okay, I believe in this, I believe in that, I believe in this, and I believe in that. But what is beyond what I believe? What is beyond what I know? Because from what I know, with everything that I know and everything that I believe, I'm still stuck with my problems. So what is beyond that? And that's where we need to go back to indigenous knowledge systems. Because it's only in indigenous knowledge systems do you find ways to find out what is that beyond what we know and what we believe that seemingly is failing us in many ways. So I'll talk a bit about Ubuntu. I'll talk a little bit about this because I feel it's a concept that is very romanticized. We always talk about it as dignity and equality and respect and humanness and all of that. But do we actually understand that Ubuntu, right? Ubuntu, this word Ubuntu, which it means that which is reflective of God, which also means that which is the life force. Are we actually understanding what that means? If we look at God, whatever we understand God to be, God creates both the dark and both the light, and is not in conflict about that. It's only human beings that are in conflict about what is dark and what is light, and it's because we are polarized. We either want to be this or want to be that to the exclusion of the other. And in so doing that, we dismiss the other parts of ourselves which we need to know so we can grow. So when I say Ubuntu's got these two parts, what I'm talking about, there's a shadow quality to Ubuntu, which is abandonment, neglect, disowning oneself, murdering each other, killing each other, lying to ourselves, committing our own genocide and our own suicide. These are the shadow qualities of what Ubuntu is. And if you want to say, what is Ubuntu? It's this whole picture. And what is our relationship to it? Ubuntu betu. That aspect of ourselves which is not really interested in who you are in terms of where you're born and what's your culture and what's your tradition and what's your religion, but who you are at your essential nature. If we can't listen to that part of ourselves, how will we ever be informed? How will we ever be able to reconcile this battle between what is dark and what is light? It becomes very hard. And this is why our ancestors, all of us, doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, what religion you are, what you are, the first thing they will show you, is your darkness. Because it's in your darkness where your wounds lie, where the wounds of your forefathers and foremothers lie. It's where your traditions lie, because the many things we understand to be dark aren't dark. It's a person's opinion. We don't look at things to see what value do they serve in our lives and where are they taking us. So, we as Africans have a rich culture. And the European people are arrogant people. They just got caught behind an ice wall for a couple of thousand years. And for example, we believe in the tree of life. Yeah. The tree of life being the great father. Right? Usimagate. Right? In Europe, do you know what they call Simagate? What is it? Egg sapphire or something like that. Egg sapphire. It's a tree of life. It's like a tree with, and you see it a lot on the pendants that you go in when you go into the trinkets. Examore. Right? And it's a circle with this tree which has branches in the sky and roots on the ground. And you know what they see this concept as? a male fathering figure. These are the very same people who are coming from here, but who settled across that side of the world, but didn't know that over time such a natural disaster would come, which would cause them to lose their skin and their culture. And through living in a violent environment or a harsh environment where there's not much to eat, it shapes the type of person you become. If you always have to hunt to survive and it's always cold and there's not much plants and herbs, you naturally become hard on the inside. And it's not that the European people are evil, no, it's just we don't understand where do they come from, what is the environment. And then if you look at people from the desert in the Middle East, they're killing each other, right? And it's a harsh environment. You look at people that come from a very abundant environment. They are much more peaceful because life is much more easier to go about. You don't have to kill. So that's not ingrained into you. So many European people, when they came to Africa, they came to heal. They came to recover their lost knowledge, their lost traditions, and to reconcile with themselves between the polarities that exist within their beings. Now, we can go on for that forever. But what I'm saying this is because I want us to understand we are one people. And when we say Africa, we're talking about the whole world. We're talking about the Asian man, the Indian man, the white man, the Hispanic man, the African man. We're talking about all of these people. If you look at all our traditions, our cultures, they're very much similar. For example, the Mexican Day of the Dead. Where they make it a point every year to honor their ancestors. Where they will go out their way to have a festival for them. And over here in Africa, we used to have those. We used to do those practices where we have a festival just to honor our ancestors. Each nuclear family these days does it, and we'll call it Musebenzi, Umsebenzi, or Mcimbi. And this is why we do these things, to honor our ancestors. The way they remember the reason for why they do it is so interesting because it's the same reason why we do it. They say that if we don't have this day and we don't remember our ancestors, their spirit fades away. Here in Africa, we say if we don't remember them, their spirit fades away. The processes they speak of after death on why the spirit fades away are very similar to our concepts of why the spirit fades away. You go to the Buddhists, they speak of bardos. We speak of bardos in our own language. In what we call Turawamoya, the life after life. And that's what I'm trying to say. We can run left, right, up, down, roll on the ground, adopt every religion, culture, modern culture, because it's a culture in its own. We can do all of that, but at the end of the day, your spirit, it knows. It knows where it needs to be. It knows what it needs and where it needs to be and what it needs to do to go get it. But it's hard to listen to that voice, because we are used to seeing it packaged in a certain way. When someone feels they've got a calling inside of them, they're afraid to engage it because they think they must put on beads and wear cloths. And grow dreads maybe. That's not what it's about. It's essentially about healing yourself and healing your lineage, coming to know yourself and know your lineage, where it comes from, what it is, you're carrying. And who are the people that have gifted you with what you have? A child comes into this world with their hands closed, right? Holding their gifts, right? Yeah. Who gave you those gifts that you came into this world holding? Yeah, it's God, definitely. Yeah, that we know, guaranteed. But in between God and us, there's a whole series of things happening, people that are there. What did they give you? And what are you missing out on by not knowing? What lies beyond your fear? And these are hard things that we have to ask ourselves, because to answer these questions, you need to be brave. You need to be willing to face the conflict in yourself, the conflicts in your family, the conflicts in the world. You know, we're not effective teachers and instruments for spirit. And all of you people that are here, all of you guys are instruments for spirit. You're doing creative work. Why would you do creative work? You know, a creative person is a very spiritual person. A creative person is the closest person to God, more than the priest. Because constantly they have to channel. Constantly they need to connect and channel down this inspiration, this vision, you know, this song, this poem, this script. You know, they have to constantly be informed by forces way above them. And the beautiful thing about it, you don't even have to really know the forces above you. You know, you just connect. You know, what is it that God is trying to do through you? What is it that your ancestors are trying to do through you? What is it they're trying to bring through you for our collective healing? You know, we don't heal people, we heal with people.
Yeah.
You can't heal anyone, but you can heal with them. And this is a very important thing. You know, we try and limit healing into a few categories. Like, oh, it's when you've got the plants or you've got the tablets, and then you're doing the divining, throwing the bones, or you're profiting and bringing people back from the dead. You know? No, it's very broad. It's everything. It's everything. You know, if you want to know if it's everything, you know, if you're stressed out, go sit underneath the tree, put your back towards the tree and close your eyes and just breathe. And you'll see it's everything. You know, you don't need to go to anyone. And this is why I ask this question of what is it, you know, that God is trying to bring through you guys. Your ancestors are trying to bring through you guys. Because what we leave behind today, you know, when we're gone, is images. And one thing I know about this world that we live in is images rule the world. People follow what they see, not what is said. We fight about what is said, but we'll do what we see. You know, so I'll say this. Learn what's your clan name, if you can. If you don't know what your clan name is, learn. Where you come from, who are your ancestors on your mother's side and on your father's side. You need to know these two so you can understand which tribes are you coming from in the world. If you don't know this, you know, it's like, it's not that it's a bad thing, you know, but it becomes very difficult when you want to connect with your blood. Your blood knows what vibrations will activate it. And the vibrations that will activate your blood are in your clan names. They're in your languages that you speak. And this is why it's important to know. Because how do you intend on activating your DNA and connecting with them and getting the story if you don't know who is it? We need to realize all these stories that have happened are buried in the sands of time. And to uncover what is buried through the sands of time, you need to be able to perceive things through the spiritual realm. And the spiritual realm is accessed through your dreams, for one. Everyone dreams, whether you remember it or not. It's the first place you're going to access it. You know, you don't have to go and do some wild ritual, you know, to like go and get yourself dreaming or like connecting with the spiritual realm. It's about speaking. Many things are destroyed and fixed with this.
Sound is power.
We have to speak. And we have to know. And to know something, you must experience it. You can't know something from hearing about it or reading about it. You have to experience it. And when you've experienced it, you know it for yourself. You know what it is, what it looks like, what it does, what it feels like, how it acts, how it behaves, how it responds. And this is why I say, go on that journey, an experiential journey, of uncovering your roots. Healing your mother's side, or the issues on your mother's side of your lineage, helps you to accurately manifest what you need in this life, accurately manifest it and manifest it rapidly. In another language, it improves synchronicity. You know, on another side, heal the issues on your father's side. Because we're all carrying either mommy and daddy issues, not either. We're all carrying mommy and daddy issues. Heal the things with dad, And what it does for you, it improves your personal power. Your personal power is your will. Your ability to apply your will to whatever goal that you've set out to accomplish. And to commit to that. And to stick to that. And to show up every time you need to show up. And be present every time you need to be present. And this is what's wrong with us, most of us, that we don't heal these two sides, and then now we're carrying all the stuff that's blocking the rivers, and now we're asking, why am I not successful? I've done all the things that you need to do to be successful. Why am I? Oh, how's it at home? Is the only question, How are things at home? And that's the crux of it. Yeah, unjani umsamo. Right, so umsamo is a very interesting thing. It's your altar. But where is this altar? You have to make an external altar, obviously, to connect with the in one. This one, here's yours. So we can have peace in our lives, and our life force can flow, and we can do what we're here to do. Tomorrow is really a world that's ruled by creatives. The age of the left-brained or the left-handed people, it's coming to its close. Maybe in our generation, maybe in the next one, definitely. But it's coming to an end. And you need to realize, we, this generation, are the teachers for the next generation. And what are we going to leave them behind? What are we going to leave them behind? And will we be proud of that? Will we be at peace with what we're leaving behind for them? We can, when you do this work, put money last. Put your love for the truth of why you're doing this, the truth that you're trying to express first. And the money will follow. It has to follow, because you needed to get to where you need to go to. So it has to follow. But what must come first is the love of one's incarnation, one's objective, one's purpose. And we must find out what that is through facing life day by day as it is, and being honest with ourselves about the experiences we go through, and what we still need to sort out, and what we have sorted out. And that which you've sorted out, give yourself a pat on the back. Yeah. Don't be like hard on yourself and abusive on yourselves. If you have a problem, seek help. Whatever problem it is, how big or however small it is, seek help. There's always support wherever there's challenge. And essentially that's what I want you to know about African consciousness in a universal paradigm, is that it's not a separate thing. It's part of everything. It doesn't apply to a select few people based on their ethnicity. It applies to everyone. And we really need you all to bring your medicine to the front. Bring it out. Because you're all carrying medicine. So if you're going to go and Twasa, the one thing I will tell you to do, if you want to go and do that, is take your time. Take your time. There's no rush. If you haven't died yet and you're still alive, take your time. The most important thing, like I was saying, is healing yourself, healing your family, and knowing where you're coming from. And most importantly, listening. Listening and hearing are two different things. I'm speaking, or like, let's make a practical example. You're at home, you're out there, watching the TV, it's good times, relax, feet up on the couch. Here comes your mom like, hey man, please can you go wash the dishes? Yeah, okay, I'll go wash the dishes. Right? 10 minutes later, I thought you said you're gonna go wash the dishes. Yeah. I heard you. You see what I mean? You heard her. You didn't listen. Then she'll say to you, I'm mameli when you don't listen. You don't listen. Because listening is about the action. Listening is an active principle. It's when we follow through on the guidance that we receive from our soul, from our guides, from our spirit, from God, from that inspiration that we receive daily. That's listening. Until we act on that guidance, we just heard it out, we just felt it out, and we didn't do anything about it. So that's why I say listen. Learn how to listen. Learn how to relate and be relatable. Take your time. Build your connection with God. Because it's from God that we came, and it's to God that we will return. And that's all I'll say for now about that. So I can open it up to maybe questions and answers.
And I just wanted to ask about the commercialization of Ubungoma and Ubutwasa. And we are urbanizing quite quickly, and there's no longer the ritual of, I don't know what it's called, but inkaba. Uyigubhele ekhaya, la umntwana azalelwe khona.
I'd say firstly, you have your own life to live.
Yeah.
Right? And the family that you're born in, will have exactly the type of patterns that you need for your growth, for whatever work that you're here to do, and for the people that will come to you for help. So you can understand them. Right? So the whole thing that you're talking about is like, it's about intergenerational wounding. That's the essence of what you're asking. And you see what you've gone through, and this is the thing of why I say go and look, must look at where we're coming from, the history of where we're coming from. You'll see that your situation is the same situation that you find one of your parents has gone through, is the same situation maybe their grandparents have gone through, and it's the same situation, and it keeps going down. Now the energy, more than the reason, the energies that come up, like anger, division, intolerance, hate speech, right? These are things you have to confront in yourself. We have to confront in ourselves, because this is how we treat ourselves. And this is the hard part about it. Now turning that mirror away from your family and bring it back here to you. To see that, like you say, you have to look at your shadow and to understand where and that's the thing about it. With all this family, the quickest way to heal is heal yourself. Understand yourself, understand these patterns. Because when you have to now go into your family and then start dealing with them in your family, if you haven't healed that within yourself, as soon as the hate speech starts or the anger starts, you will react, and you will act impulsively. And the thing about impulsiveness is that it's governed by the wounds and traumas that we've gone through. And if your trauma is you are traumatized in a way of being verbally abused, for example, as soon as you get put in a position where you impulsive through anger, or you're going to be verbally abusive to the other, and that means communication breakdown. And that's what I'm trying to say. First, deal with these things in yourself, so when you go confront someone and you have to go relay your message, you can hold that conversation, because it's not easy to hold those conversations. Marcos. And then the commercialization of Ubungoma. So let me go to that one. So the commercialization of Ubungoma is a reality, because it's a commercialization of our culture, not even just Ubungoma, our culture in general. Nowadays, the traditional Sutu blankets, you see them now running around in European runways, and they're making like trench coats and all sorts of little bags, and it's like a proper traditional, and that's what I'm saying, it's a commercialization of our culture. Now, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. There's nothing we can do to stop it, because it's not something to be stopped. It's about learning how do we bring it into harmony. How do we take out the excess bitterness and the excess darkness and the assumed excess light and bring it to a place of equilibrium. And with the traditions like to bury the Inkabi, it's done in different ways. Some people, in some traditions, like for example, some of the Sotho and Shona traditions, in some of the families, they will bury the placenta of the child by a tree. And whenever that child is sick, they will go and pick from that tree and make that person either a bath or medicine to drink from that tea, and that will heal them. So it's about also us reintegrating these aspects into modern day living and understanding how can we do it. And the easiest way to do it is to go get land back in the homelands. And this is one thing we don't want to do. We think It's expensive. It's not expensive. It's like you go and speak to the chief, and it's like 3,000 rand, 5,000 rand, and you get like 5-10 hectares, you know, because you're coming back to your, and that's what I'm trying to say. We need to do those things, you know, so we have an ancestral home where we can do our rites of passages and the rituals that need to be done to mark birth, death, marriage, transition between adolescence, puberty, and elderhood, all these different stages. So that's our responsibility to make it happen. You know, and you can't blame them because they are human beings. They make mistakes. Human beings make mistakes. You can't blame someone. You can, but what is it going to help? You know, it doesn't help. What we can do though is alleviate our own suffering, understanding why us, why me in this situation.
Because and I find the methods to be very harsh, right?
Yeah.
And my theory is that Gogo Kobela Oyedwa and that Kobela made it a trend. Because I feel like it should come from a place of love. Like because a lot of, well, the friends that I know who are, you know, who are healers, maybe kuluma about my experiences, it's so traumatic.
Exactly right.
It's so traumatic, and I feel like you can still learn from a place of love and strictness, but like, you know, it isn't the way it felt like, yeah. So that's the one question, the harshness of the institution and the initiation school. And then second, if you can please like share what you can about your journey with the plant ayahuasca.
Okay.
Yeah, because I tried it and it opened up. Yes, you see baby. Like I didn't find and then two, there's three. There seems to be a Sangoma aesthetic. You know? There is a Sangoma aesthetic, you know? How relevant is it? And also, as a person, once you've been through initiation and you've been turned to bang and turned to kid and is the Sangoma aesthetic still important? Or can I still say, okay, I've been called, but I still want to be Balesa? Or the shift must be physically visible?
Okay, so.
And then, and we're talking about tracing back, right? You are adopted, and you will try and trace back, and your family will reject you, right? So how do I then say, acknowledge uSmith adoptile bakunakekeli sokubona amadlozi amakhe laba abanye angibazi and futhi abafuna ukungamkela? How do you marry that ngesintu?
I had the most loveliest experience. It was like 2-year vacation. You know, like amazing. You know, I didn't get whipped. You know, I didn't get like beaten or like made to do crazy rituals I don't understand or anything like that. Really, it was a holiday. So, for example, a person who's I see that one of someone who's an orphan. You know, an orphan who was dropped off at an orphanage, no letter, no nothing, or a child that was thrown in a dustbin, nothing, and then person is raised. You know, thank God we have blood and bones that connects us to our ancestors. To think that your ancestors, you know, will cast you away because you don't know your parents or you don't know your family is a bad thinking, it's a misconception. Because they know you and they know when you're coming into this world. Now, in the case of someone who's orphaned in that way, you know, they don't have an onus on them, a responsibility to sort out things with their family that they're born from, because they don't know, and they'll never know in some cases. You know, but someone that's born knowing there's a way to get, no, that person has a responsibility. A big responsibility. And ultimately, when we reach the age of adulthood, you know, we need to really realize, we need to take on our true parents. You know, God, you know, and the earth. God and the earth. This is what constantly provides us and sustains for us through all its peoples and its activities. Of course.